The Inspiring Life of Aung San Suu Kyi, A Story of Courage, Peace, and Hope. Introduction. Hello and welcome to an inspiring English listening story. Today we learn about a woman who fought for peace, democracy, and justice in her country. Her name is Aung San Suu Kyi. She is a woman of great courage. She spent years in house arrest. She faced danger, hate, and power. But she never stopped believing in peace and freedom. This is the story of a leader, a mother, a symbol of hope. Chapter 1, Born with a Legacy, a childhood of history and hope. Every great story begins with a birth, but some people are born into history. Aung San Suu Kyi was one of them. She was born on June 19, 1945, in Rangoon, which is now called Yangon, the largest city in Myanmar, a country in Southeast Asia that was once called Burma. Her father, the hero of a nation. Suu Kyi's father was General Aung San. He is still remembered today as the father of modern Myanmar. In the 1940s, Burma was under British rule. Many people wanted independence, the right to rule their own country. Aung San led the movement for freedom. He was brave, strong, and smart. He made speeches. He built armies. He negotiated with world leaders. And finally, in 1947, Burma was getting ready to become free. But something tragic happened. Just months before independence, General Aung San was assassinated, killed by political enemies. Suu Kyi was only 2 years old. She would grow up without her father, but she would carry his name, his dreams, and his legacy forever. Her mother, a strong woman, Suu Kyi's mother, Daw Khin Kyi, was also a strong woman. After her husband's death, she raised her children with discipline and care. She was kind but also serious. She worked for the government and later became Burma's ambassador to India, the first woman to do so. She taught Suu Kyi to be honest, brave, and humble. Suu Kyi once said, "My mother taught me that silence is not always golden. Sometimes silence is betrayal." She learned from her mother that truth must be spoken, even if it is hard. A quiet child with big dreams. As a little girl, Suu Kyi was quiet and shy, but she was also curious and intelligent. She loved to read books. She read stories about freedom, justice, and leaders from around the world. She liked books about Mahatma Gandhi, Winston Churchill, and Martin Luther King Jr. Even at a young age, she had a dream. One day she thought, "I want to help my people just like my father did." She knew her father had died for his country, and deep in her heart, she wanted to do something meaningful too. But she was still just a child. She didn't know that one day she would become the voice of her people. And so, the story begins. A girl born into loss, but also into hope. A girl who would carry the dreams of a father she never knew, and the strength of a mother who never gave up. She didn't have power, she didn't have wealth, but she had a mind full of dreams and a heart full of courage. This is Aung San Suu Kyi's beginning. Chapter 2, Studying the World. Learning, love, and new perspectives. In the last chapter, we met a little girl with a big dream. Aung San Suu Kyi was born into loss and legacy. Her father was a hero. Her mother was a strong woman. And Suu Kyi herself was quiet but full of purpose. Now let us follow her as she leaves home to study the world. A move to India, a new beginning. In the 1960s, Suu Kyi's mother became ambassador to India, so Suu Kyi moved with her to New Delhi, the capital of India. She was a teenager then. India was very different from Myanmar. It was full of noise, culture, and diverse people. But India had also gone through a struggle for freedom, just like Myanmar. Suu Kyi studied at Lady Shri Ram College in New Delhi. She made new friends. She learned new ideas. And she discovered the life and work of Mahatma Gandhi. She was deeply moved by his message of nonviolence. Gandhi showed me that strength is not in fighting, Suu Kyi later said, but in not giving up what is right. Studying at Oxford University. After finishing high school and college in India, Suu Kyi applied to Oxford University in the United Kingdom, one of the most famous universities in the world. She was accepted. She traveled to England, thousands of miles from home. At Oxford, she studied politics, philosophy, and economics, a subject known as PPE. This subject helped her understand how governments work, what freedom means, how to think logically and clearly, and how to help people through leadership. She also made many international friends. She listened to many different opinions, and she grew more confident, but she never forgot where she came from. I am Burmese, she would say proudly, and I will return to serve my people someday. Meeting Michael Eris, a love story. While studying and working in England, Suu Kyi met Michael Eris. He was a British scholar who studied Tibetan and Himalayan culture. Michael was kind, thoughtful, and intelligent. He respected Suu Kyi's love for her country. He supported her dreams. They got married in 1972. They lived in Oxford and had two sons, Alexander and Kim. Aung San Suu Kyi worked at the United Nations in New York for a short time. She also continued to study, write, and care for her family. She lived a peaceful and comfortable life in the West. But something in her heart still pulled her back to Myanmar. I lived in freedom, she said, but I could not forget those who did not. Thoughts of home, a promise in her heart. Even while living in Oxford, Suu Kyi followed the news from Myanmar. She read about the political situation. She saw how the military controlled the people. She watched from far away as freedom disappeared in her country. In her heart, she made a quiet promise. If my people ever need me, I will return. She knew the risks. She knew she could lose her peaceful life. But she believed that a leader must stand with the people, even when it is hard. She was waiting for the right moment, and that moment would come. Chapter 3. Return to a changing country, the beginning of a peaceful fight. In 1988, Suu Kyi received news from Myanmar. Her mother, Daw Khin Kyi, was very sick. So after years abroad, she returned to Myanmar to care for her. She thought she would stay for a short time, to look after her mother. But something was happening in the country. People were on the streets. They were marching. They were shouting. They were protesting against military rule. The country had suffered for 26 years under a military government. People had no freedom. Prices were high. Jobs were few, and voices were silenced. Suu Kyi saw pain in the faces of young people. She saw fear in the eyes of the old. She could not ignore it. I could not stand by, she said, when my people were crying out for help. Speaking for the people. On August 26, 1988, Aung San Suu Kyi stood on a stage at Shwedagon Pagoda, a famous temple in Yangon. More than 500,000 people came to hear her speak. She wore simple Burmese dress. She looked calm, but her voice was strong. She said, "I could not, as my father's daughter, remain indifferent to all that is going on." She asked for free elections, a democratic government, respect for human rights and peace. Without violence, the people listened and believed in her. They called her Da Su, a name of respect. She became a symbol of hope. Founding the NLD, her political journey begins. After her speech, Suu Kyi decided to form a political party. She helped create the National League for Democracy, NLD, in September 1988. The NLD promised fair elections, a voice for the people, peaceful change. The people loved her. She traveled around Myanmar. She met students, monks, farmers, and workers. She told them, democracy means a government that serves the people, not controls them. But not everyone was happy. The military saw her rising power. They felt threatened. They knew she could win an election. So in July 1989, they took action. House arrest, but not silence. In July 1989, soldiers surrounded her house. They told her, "You cannot leave." She was now under house arrest. She could not go out. She could not meet people. She could not speak publicly, but her voice still traveled. Her words were spread through letters, whispers, and secret recordings. People still followed her. They still believed. In 1990, the military held an election, and guess what? The NLD won by a landslide. But the military refused to accept the results. They did not give power to Suu Kyi or her party. She remained a prisoner in her own home. "They may keep me locked up," she said, "but they cannot lock up the truth." And so began a new kind of fight, not with guns, not with fists, but with patience, peace, and faith. Aung San Suu Kyi stood alone in her home, but outside the hearts of millions stood with her. She had become the voice of Myanmar, and in the next chapter we will see how her quiet resistance shook the world, and how her courage earned her the Nobel Peace Prize. Chapter 4: 15 Years in Silence. The World Watches. While Suu Kyi lived in silence, the world was not silent. People across the globe spoke her name. In 1991, she was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize. She could not attend the ceremony. Her son accepted the award for her. The Nobel Committee called her an outstanding example of the power of the powerless. They praised her nonviolent struggle. They called her the Gandhi of Myanmar. Her photo was printed in newspapers. Her quotes were shared in classrooms. Leaders from around the world demanded her release. But year after year, the military kept her locked away. Family and sacrifice. While Suu Kyi was locked in Myanmar, her husband Michael Aris and their 2 sons were in England. Michael wanted to visit her many times, but the military refused his visa. In 1999, Michael became very sick with cancer. He asked one last time to see his wife, but again, the military said no. Michael passed away in England, and Suu Kyi was not allowed to say goodbye. She made the hardest choice of her life. "If I leave, they may never let me return," she said. "I must stay with my people." This sacrifice touched the hearts of millions around the world. Released, but not free yet. Suu Kyi was released several times, but each time the military would arrest her again. In total, she spent almost 15 years under house arrest. That's over 5,000 days. But her faith never died. In 2010, the world changed again. And this time, she would finally walk free. not just from her home, but into a new chapter of Myanmar's future. Chapter 5. A New Dawn, Freedom at Last, 2010. On November 13, 2010, Aung San Suu Kyi was released from house arrest. It was a day of joy. Thousands of people waited outside her house. When she came to the gate, they cheered, cried, and clapped. Some shouted, "Mother Sue is free!" Suu Kyi smiled gently. She waved. Her face was calm, but her eyes were full of emotion. She said to the crowd, "We must continue our work. We must walk forward together." The country had changed, but so had she. Back into politics with the people's support. In 2012, Suu Kyi and her party, the National League for Democracy, NLD, decided to take part in elections. This time the government allowed the vote, and once again, the people showed their love. Suu Kyi won a seat in the national parliament. For the first time in history, she entered the official government. She took the oath in parliament. She smiled at her fellow members, and she said, "Now we will work for all the people together." This was not just a political moment. It was a dream coming true for millions. The 2015 election, a historic victory. In November 2015, Myanmar held a general election. Suu Kyi's party, the NLD, won more than 80% of the seats. It was a landslide victory. The people had spoken, loudly and clearly. Suu Kyi could not become president due to a rule in the Constitution, but she was given a special role called State Counselor, similar to Prime Minister. She was now the most powerful civilian leader in Myanmar. The people called it a new beginning. They hoped for peace, growth, and unity. Meeting the world, a global leader. As state counselor, Suu Kyi traveled around the world. She met presidents, prime ministers, and world leaders. She gave speeches at the United Nations, ASEAN summits, and many international events. People welcomed her as a global icon of peace. She spoke about education, health, freedom, and unity. Many called her the Lady of Myanmar. Others called her the Nelson Mandela of Asia. Hope, but also challenges. While many people were happy, leading a country is not easy. Suu Kyi faced old military laws, ethnic tensions, economic problems, high expectations. She worked hard, but some people began to question her leadership. Still, her journey showed the world what was possible. From a prisoner to a prime minister, with only words and patience. Chapter 6. Controversies and Criticism. The Rohingya Crisis. In 2016 and 2017, violence broke out in Rakhine State, a region in western Myanmar. There lived a Muslim ethnic group called the Rohingya. For many years, the Rohingya had suffered discrimination. They were not given citizenship. They had no rights to vote, study, or move freely. But in 2017, the situation became much worse. The Myanmar military launched a crackdown. They said they were fighting terrorists. But thousands of innocent Rohingya people were killed. Homes were burned, villages were destroyed, and over 700,000 Rohingya ran to Bangladesh for safety. The world called it a humanitarian crisis. Some even called it ethnic cleansing or genocide. Suu Kyi's silence, a world confused. People around the world expected Aung San Suu Kyi to speak out. They expected her to defend human rights. But she remained silent. She did not blame the military. She did not speak for the Rohingya. She said the media was spreading false stories. Many of her supporters were shocked. How could a Nobel Peace Prize winner stay quiet? We believed in her, said one human rights group, but now we feel disappointed. World leaders criticized her. Some honors and awards were taken away from her. Even cities like Oxford removed her name from buildings. Facing the International Court. In 2019, Aung San Suu Kyi traveled to the International Court of Justice in The Hague, Netherlands. She stood in front of world judges. She defended her country. She said the situation in Rakhine was complex. She asked for time and trust. She still did not criticize the military. Some people said she was protecting national unity. Others said she was ignoring the suffering of a minority. The world was divided. Some supported her. Many more lost their faith in her. A complicated leader. Aung San Suu Kyi's story became difficult to understand. Was she still a hero, or had she made mistakes as a leader? Many people in Myanmar still supported her. They said, "She gave us hope. She gave us a voice. We still believe in her." Others, especially around the world, said, "She stayed silent when she should have spoken. She failed the Rohingya." The truth was complex, but one thing was clear: leadership is not easy, and even the strongest heroes can face hard questions. Chapter 7. Lessons from her life. Light. What she taught the world. Aung San Suu Kyi's early life taught us about courage. She stood up to a powerful military. She gave people hope when there was fear. She showed the world that patience is power. She lived under house arrest for nearly 15 years, but she never became angry. She never called for war. She believed in nonviolence. Her words inspired the world. "Please use your freedom to promote ours," she once told the world. Millions followed her peaceful example. She became a symbol of inner strength, forgiveness, and peaceful resistance. Was powerful. Shadow, mistakes, and criticism. But life is not only light. Even great people make mistakes. As a leader, Suu Kyi faced big challenges, and not everyone agreed with her choices. Her silence during the Rohingya crisis made many people feel hurt. The world asked, why didn't she protect them? Why didn't she speak louder? Some of her awards were taken back. Her image as a global peace leader was questioned. This part of her life reminds us, no one is perfect, and leadership is never easy. Her legacy, still being written. Today, Aung San Suu Kyi's story is not finished. She continues to face challenges in Myanmar. The military has again taken power. She was arrested again in 2021 after a coup. Her future is uncertain, but her past still teaches millions. Whether you agree with her or not, her story is part of the history of freedom. And her voice, strong, soft, and full of purpose, will always be remembered. Final words. Thank you for listening to this inspiring story. Aung San Suu Kyi showed us that a soft voice can make a big sound, that silence can carry truth, that peace is not weakness, it is strength. As you continue learning English, remember, you are stronger than you think, and your voice matters. Keep learning, keep speaking, and keep growing, just like the heroes of history.